Recording is on. Alrighty. So thanks for joining. My name is Mitch Milam. You can reach me at my email, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, via my YouTube channel. I would like to suggest you subscribe to the YouTube channel because, as always, this webinar will be recorded and it will be put up on my YouTube channel later today. So if you subscribe to the channel, you get notifications automatically if you set that up. So do that if you would like. A little bit of housekeeping. So everybody's muted, as you know. And then if you want to say something, just raise your hand and I'll unmute you, or just put your question in the question box and we'll keep going there. So a couple things here. So they released the July release, as they called it, the first week of October, and I forgot a bullet here. They actually released a service update this week. I'm not sure if everybody knew about that. So I don't know exactly what was in it. The KB article that they have, and I'll have links to that later on. The KB article that they had was kind of sparse as to what was in it, so I'm not sure if it only had a few bullet points. So I was hoping more than that would be released. But anyway, so it's now generally available. So if you spin up a new trial, which is what I did, what we'll be working on today, you will get the new version 9 for online customers. We have it's usually like a couple months after the general availability that we actually get the update cycle where we can request the update and things like that. That's generally how things work. Okay, so new feature overview. So one of the most important things, and I mentioned this up front because of kind of I'm not going to say the enormity of the whole thing, but it's close. So I'm not sure if you guys know Matt Barber. Matt's in charge of a lot of the platform stuff. And so for probably the past 5 years or so, he's been trying to get to the point where we're finally at with version 9. So the way that it used to work is we had sales, service, marketing, then we had a common block of code, then a core block of code, and then a platform. And one of the things that he was trying to get to is where everybody was on the same playing field. And that means them too. So the product team, when they create sales, service, customer service, marketing, these things like that, they're actually using the exact same facilities as we as ISVs or customers or partners or whatever it might be are using the same thing. So they're on the same playing field. They go through the same processes that the customers go, the partners or ISVs go through. So now one of the side effects of that is now they feel our pain. So if you've ever developed a solution, especially for resale or for distribution, you know that it can be quite a challenge. A challenge being the nice way to put it. So what's now happening is when they run into problems with the system, they have to fix them because it's affecting their work and they are creating the product. So this is really cool for everybody. Because one, it truly separates out all of the component pieces that make up the product into individual buckets that we're all based on now. So at the bottom layer is the XRM core. So that's the thing that makes up CRM. And on top of that, we have service host agreements, social profiles, notification, knowledge management, and then the common app itself. And on top of that is all of the goodness that makes up the user interface functionality. So this is really good for everybody. So this is why I put this up front. Okay, so let's talk about apps for a second. So if we go back to this picture here, you'll notice all these blocks. These are individual applications. This is the same thing that we as customizers, as ISVs, as partners and customers actually get to create. So everything is an app. So an example of that, I know you've heard the whole thing of what is pretty much a fiasco about the business edition. The business edition, which may or may not be coming out, it has been renamed for sure, and the functionality looks like it's going away. It may come back. Who knows what the deal is with that. But the idea is this was an app. It wasn't a separate product. It was something that was installed on top of the system. And that's how all of these things are working. So when we're creating things, we're actually creating applications. And that's the model, again, that they've been driving us toward for, literally for years. And they're finally, are finally able to do that. So what's in an app? Well, an app is a solution. It contains components. It contains code. It contains user interface elements, all the things that allow you to actually install something. This allows us to actually, if you're an ISV, put it into the app source. So we have the ability to create these applications either for internal or external use and be used by anybody within the system. The first thing we're going to notice about the user interface for the web client is it's refreshed. It's not new totally. We'll get into that in just a second, but it does look different. And so this is a step along the road to our unified interface that we'll talk about in a second. So the first thing you'll notice is they've changed the way the layout is done for both the views, which is what you're seeing here, and also for the forms. So they've made things consistent, so consistent typefaces, what most people call fonts, consistent spacing, consistent everything. And again, this is a step on the road to get to where we're finally going, which if I understand correctly, it's probably going to be the next major release, which I'm assuming is going to be the spring release. I'm not totally positive about that, but I think that was the goal, was they're trying to implement this new unified interface as a whole within the spring update, or whenever that may ship. So as you can see, things are a bit different. We're going back to, in some cases, you can see from the social pane, we're going back to a tabbed interface for that, like we have, but it's much more pronounced. You can tell it is a tab. So the sections are different, the tabs are different within the UI, and the spacing is like more consistent, and they kind of cut some of the dead space out of the user interface. Then we get into the final thing, when they first, most of you don't know, the MVPs are like, well, Larry's on the call. I'm big into buttons, like you put on your shirt. And a few years ago, I created a couple of buttons that almost got me in trouble, but was fun nonetheless. And anyway, so I created one for Dynamics 365. I said, Dynamics 365, shut up and take my money, because what they showed us that they were doing was just amazing, except for the fact they didn't deliver that. Okay, and so I didn't actually get any of them made. Now, the reason I mention that is because this is what we're after. This is the thing that is going to be good. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have a singular interface that is shared amongst all applications. So right now, as it stands, this unified interface is in the mobile tablet clients for sure. And then I'll get into some other things here as well. So we're going to have one interface that will look the same. And the way that you can see this is if we actually make it where we have the ability to collapse the form, for instance. Like if we take the window and we start making it smaller and smaller and smaller, what will actually happen? It will actually respond into the mobile interface, which is kind of interesting. So we're going to have one interface that's going to look the same no matter what type of device. And again, this is what we've been waiting for years. So we don't have to worry about the web interface being different than the phone interface, being different than the tablet interface, being different than the Windows app interface. It's all one interface. This is what the data record looks like. So as you can see, we are back. After a mere 6 years, we are finally back to a tabbed interface. Okay, no longer do we have the tabs that are sections that are tech tabs. So if you look here, we have the summary tab, then we have project price list, details, field service, scheduling, and related. Those work the same way that they worked prior to 2013. Okay, I still think it was a great interface then, and it was a great interface then. I think it's a great interface now. We have very clear delineation with the sections. So account information, address. We have, you can see where things are. You can see where the fields are. The timeline is the replacement for the social pane. So if you look here, and this is exciting to me, and I don't get excited often, but we now have colors in our interface. I'm sure everybody loved the blank white interface that, basically burned your eyeballs out. So now we have colors again. So we have colors in our interface that brightens things up. So they did a lot of work on this. And again, this is in the mobile interface, the tablet interface, and then this will be coming soon everywhere. Okay, we'll get more into that when we get to the demo here in a second. We have the ability to create flows from within the interface itself. So we no longer have to go out to flow.microsoft.com to create one. We can actually create them from within the interface. Now, when you go to settings in Microsoft Flows, which is how you get to this, When you first click on it, it's going to sit there, and you think it's not working. It is working. It just takes a while for the web site to kind of propagate itself here. So if you're ever working with that and you think it's not working, just wait a few seconds, and it will actually finally pop up. The reason they did this is think of this as Workflows 2.0, so or 9.0. How about that? So I don't know for sure if they're going to make Flow the de facto workflow engine. I think there would be too much work, quite honestly, and it would be not a very good upgrade path for all the workflows that we have out there. But this is what I think that we're going to, because there's just so much functionality is built into Flow, the connections to other applications and things like that. I just can't see why it wouldn't be used for everybody. So if you're not into Flow, I would go out there and explore and see what you can find. 1 second there. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold and trying to recover from the CRNUG Summit. Okay, so some other features. They updated the app designer, the sitemap designer, and the business flow, process flow designer. We have some new themes. We have a not in query built into the advanced find now. So that's an interesting thing. I'll show that to you later if I don't forget. If I do forget, somebody remind me. See, Lewis has a question. Aren't workflows across the system flows or per user? Lewis, I have no clue if that is the case. So what he's asking is, workflows work across the system where flows are per user? I have no idea. I have not played with it whatsoever. So I've been in the business for a very long time, and to a certain extent, I don't like to work with beta software anymore. So I let them ship the thing, and then I go start playing around with it. And quite honestly, I've been out of town, haven't had time. So that's a good question. That is something I'll have to follow up on with you. We have a new LinkedIn connector, and there's actually a new product called SalesNet. What is it? It's not Sales Navigator. That's the LinkedIn thing. But basically, there's a new product SKU for Dynamics that integrates the Dynamics 365 with the Sales Navigator from in LinkedIn. We also have a Sales Hub and a Customer Service Hub. So these were unexpected additions. The Customer Service Hub I knew about. The Sales Hub I did not. And I'll get into that. This will be one of the first things I'm going to show you guys. We have an update to the Outlook app coming soon. I do not know when that's coming. It just says very soon, but supposedly there's some new functionality in that. So if you're not familiar with the Outlook app, this is a product that you install more or less into the Office 365 environment or your Exchange environment, and there's nothing to install on a client. It's not like the fat client that we used to have that's been deprecated. We'll talk about that in a minute. So what this allows us to do is actually have the same client on anything Outlook. So that could be the web client. It could be the Outlook client itself, like on your laptop. It could be the mobile client for Outlook. So what this allows you to actually use the same application on all those platforms without having to install anything extra. The problem with it right now is it's not at feature parity with the Outlook client that we're used to. So it just does things differently. It's just features are missing, and they're trying to get it up because they're getting rid of support for the Outlook client, because quite honestly, everybody who's ever worked with it knows it's a pain in the butt. Strictly because there's too many things that go on within Outlook and within the add-in experience that conflict with each other, and those conflicts surface as user experiences that are bad. Okay, so we're trying to get there. So speaking of deprecated features, so here's the master list. So Outlook client is going away, service scheduling for customer service is going away, dialogues are going away, parameter knowledge base connection is going away, contract line items, and contract templates are going away. Those were replaced by enablements already. Standard SLA types, relationship roles have been replaced by connections years ago. And then mail merge is going away because we now have the new document templates. Oh, Ron, thank you very much. Ron Harris put in the relationship sales is a SKU that I was talking about. So relationship sales has the Sales Navigator and the Dynamics 365 CRM portion as a single thing that you buy. So for developers, we've got some really cool things. We have virtual entities. So what this allows us to do, and I'm not going to be able to show this because I have to have a data source created and I don't have one. But this allows you to show external data for within the CRM interface that looks just like CRM. So this is not an iframe. This is actually showing external data within a view, just like you would a CRM record. So that's really cool. So they worked on the web API enhancements. They've got some stuff for the client API, so that's JavaScript for you guys that don't do that. And I've got two of the same thing at the bottom. We have role-based purpose-built apps. Rob asked about where can I find more about document templates and its capabilities. Just go out to dynamics.com, I think, or something like that. Yeah, it's pretty well documented. Just do a search, Rob, for Dynamics 365 document templates. There's plenty of things, and I actually did a webinar last year, I think, or earlier this year, one or two, on that. So look for my webinar on my YouTube channel. Vector image web resources. So we have a thing called an SVG, or segmented virtual image, or something like that, a graphic. So what this means is, if you don't know what a vector image is, most images that we work with are bitmaps. So they're just an image that's just a bunch of dots. A vector image is not a bunch of dots. It's a bunch of coordinates. So the coordinates tell it where to go, what color to use, how thick to make a line, and what it is a bunch of lines. Even though they show up as circles and things, they're just generally lines. So this allows us to show those inside of that. So we can actually have localizable solutions. On top of that, there's a programming thing within .NET called a resx file. So what that allows us to do is actually have localizable text within our solution that will dynamically change based on the user's current language. We now have the ability to look for dependencies for web resources. So right now, with version 8 or 8.2, what will happen, or actually any version beside 9, what happens is there's no way to see some of the dependencies for the web resources. So now we have the ability to find out where it's used. We can change the way that the default behavior for opening data rows is for the grids. We have some business flow enhancements. Webhooks integration, this allows us to actually hook into external web services. I haven't played with that. That's on my list. The big change coming for developers that use JavaScript is the XRM.page model is changing. It's changing pretty radically. So what's happening is they have totally realigned the entire object model to not use XRM.page fully. So the way that the JavaScript object model works right now is everything starts with XRM.page. So in order to provide some of this parity with the mobile things that they were doing, they changed the model to where they have much finer grained buckets rather than starting with XRM.page. So we're not really going to get into that. Maybe I'll do a thing on that later. In fact, I think I'm going to do a webinar on just the deprecated stuff so we can have an open discussion about that. So anyway, okay, so you've got one question. Anything to ask about updating your Dynamics 365 instance? I mentioned at the very beginning of the thing, we're not doing that yet. Probably be about another, it's usually about 2 months after. 2 months after they actually ship the thing is when we actually get our upgrade notifications, and we can sign up for that. Okay, get rid of my messages. I only have 5 or 10 of them. Okay, so here is our new interface. So again, a little bit more color, a little bit more consistent. Like I said, the biggest thing is evidently they had like 4 or 5 typefaces on one page, which made the small differences in the way that the words or the numbers were displayed and things like that, and it really kind of drew the eye to the things that were not similar or the same. So this is what our new dashboards look like, grids and things like that. If we go over to sales and go into accounts, this is what our new view looks like. Our charts over here. So everything is, the functionality wise, it's still all the same. Just looks a little bit different. Okay. Command bar is still the same. I think the things that we can use are still the same. when we go into an actual record like Fourth Coffee here, again, in this version, the tabs are still underneath that button there. They are collapsible as they always were. We have, I turn on the relationship assistant. The relationship assistant is still in a preview mode, so it's not fully baked yet, but it is there. So we have the assistant shows up there. We have activities, notes, OneNote. One interesting thing I learned the other day when I was playing with this, when you click on the OneNote tab like I'm about to do, guess what it does? It actually creates a OneNote right then for that. So that's kind of unexpected behavior to me. I wouldn't think you would do that. So what it does is it actually creates something right immediately. So as you can see, I now have a OneNote for coffee. So what can happen with this is you're going to have, if somebody just clicks that tab, it's creating it automatically. Okay, rather than having to, if they were just like what I'm doing, browsing around, I was literally just clicking away and I hit OneNote. Next thing I know, I get this box pop up with a OneNote in it. Like, what's that doing there? So anyway, so that's one thing that was kind of unnerving to me to actually have that. So if you notice what this looks like a lot is the kind of the design that came out of the what's it called? Whatever the service hub is now called, but basically this is a slight different design. Let's see, we got some questions over here. Okay, Wesley says that Microsoft says V9 will not be available online until December. That's right, yeah, 2 months, yeah, November, December, that's about right. Yeah. Todd asked about moving on-prem contains dialogues. They're not stopping working, Todd. The dialogues are deprecated, which means the next major version, which will be V10, whenever that ships, that's when they'll stop working. So you probably have a year or more. Okay. So anyway, so basically this stuff is all about the same as we're used to. I don't see anything really different in the way it works. The biggest thing is just the look and feel. When you hover over it, it kind of changes there. We do have multiple themes, so like this is the blue theme, but I can go and change that if I want to one of the others or create my own. This has not changed at all, so if I want to go to an orange theme, I'm not sure why you would want orange, but maybe if you like Texas or Tennessee. Not sure which orange this is, probably the Tennessee orange. No, that's Texas orange. Okay, so here is the thing. So, if you need to change do your environments, you can change it. Okay, I want to change that back because that's really disturbing to me. One thing that still does every now and then, as you see, we lost our navigation. Okay, which brings me to my next point. Oklahoma State orange. Sorry, Diane, I apologize. Okay, check this out. So, does everybody know how to get to applications within the Dynamics 365? So you click on the down arrow beside Dynamics 365, and these are your apps. Okay, so I have Dynamics 365 Custom, which is the custom version of everything. I have Sales Hub, Sales, Customer Service Hub, Project Resource Hub, Project Service Automation, Field Service, and Field Resource Hub. All of the hubs are the new user unified interface. I was shocked to find this, okay, because this is what we've been waiting for, again, for years. So besides being blatantly orange right now, this is what the new interface looks like and will look like once we get the new update. Okay, so this is the Sales Hub. So what's going to be in here is sales type data. So as you can see, we have a slightly different dashboard. It's very slow to load the first time. Supposedly what happens is it actually caches a bunch of this data, so it's actually faster once it gets up and running. Okay, so One of the things that's new about this, about the new unified interface, is we have a totally different navigation. So as you can see here, we have what they call a breadcrumb up here, so I can go backwards. But in addition to that, our sitemap is now on the left-hand side. How many people used CRM 2011 or before? So here is our sitemap. Now, notice what you don't see. You don't see settings, okay? Or you don't see anything that's non-sales. So this is, again, an app. So this is the new interface, but it's specific to sales. So if you have people that are only salespeople, they don't do customer service, they don't do this other stuff, this is in here. So if we go to accounts, so we can go to accounts, or this drop down here lists my recent accounts. So if I want to go to just the standard accounts, I click that, and we have our new view, Interactive Service Hub, or service, yeah. Interactive Service Hub is what I was trying to think of earlier. So here is our new view. Again, this is what came out of the Interactive Service Hub design. So they incorporated that into a different way of doing it, a different look and feel, as you can see. So totally different look here. We can change our view like we've always done. If we open one, you'll see the new interface. So the idea behind this new interface is it's a single page per tab. Now, as you can see, we do have scrolling per the tab, but this goes back to the old design that we had prior to CRM 2013, which is we have had a true tabbed interface. So as you can see, we have things on one page. This is the same, again, the same design as the Interactive Service Hub. And what this allows us to do, and I'm getting a really bad response today. This allows us to just, keep everything for one tab on one page. And again, the way that we changed our tabs is just by clicking on that. We no longer have the tab selector up there because our tabs are right in front of us. So what they call discoverability is higher. Okay, so we have description. As you can see, we have what looks like Korean to me. So we have Korean and English in the same thing. We have stuff related to field service because the field service app is installed. Scheduling. This is part of field service where you put in your lat and your long. And in our related items, which are basically anything that's related. So this goes back to, again, the Interactive Service Hub design. Okay. So I got some questions here. Travis asks, you see in the case where the down caret on various apps is not there? Yeah, that's a bug. Like I said, it happened earlier when I selected the theme where I lost my entire navigation, so that's just a bug. So let's see, Lewis says, so the hubs will replace the sales app, customer service app, field service app, and once it's gone to UCI, yes. That's my understanding. I don't know, Travis, if it's going to be called hubs or just going to be called, sales. I have no idea what the naming is going to be because that's in the future. The marketing department will get involved. They'll screw it up about 4 times before they get it right, and finally we'll end up with what we should end up with. Or they could keep it with the sales hub. Who knows? Okay. Ron says, this is what you get when you create a new trial account. Does it mean that this is a new client would have access to? Yes. So what's fascinating about this is the trial, when you fire up a trial, what it does is it asks you what you want to try. So you have sales or customer service or project service or field service, any one of those uniquely, not combined, any one of those uniquely, or all of them. That's your options. So pick one or pick everything. So this one I picked everything just so that I have it. Now, as you saw, I only have, when I'm in one of the hubs here, I only have entities that are related to that type of thing. So like, for instance, if I go to my customer service hub, which is a replacement, by the way, for the interactive service hub, that's totally gone away. I'm only going to have things that are specific to our customer service, which is cases, queues, knowledge articles, and then the other stuff. Okay. This is a direct port pretty much of the interactive service hub. Okay, let's see what else I got there. Larry asks, is there a max number of tabs like we had in version 3 and 4 in 2011, which was 8? Larry, I don't know. I haven't even played with it. So I'm sure there is some kind of limit in there, but I don't know what it is. Okay, let me jump back over to the sales real quick. Sorry. Now, the good news is we now have the unified interface that we can get to, that we can show users. So if we take a step back and think about user retraining, there's going to be some retraining, of course. I mean, there always is with any kind of an update of this nature. I don't. So we had they released the July update in October, okay, which sounds kind of silly, but that's what happened. I don't think people really understand the depth and the breadth of the changes that they made. So this is the biggest update that we have literally seen since 2013 shipped. Okay, it doesn't look like it probably to a lot of people, but it is major. It really and truly is. The amount of work that they did, the features that they added, all the stuff either behind the scenes in the platform level or to the user interface, it was a lot of work. I don't even know how the developers are even alive. I mean, they probably worked weekends for months because it's just a lot of work. So give them credit and kudos for that, and send them pizza and beer or whatever we want to do. Let's see. Jessica asks, how do you get back to where you show the settings? Jessica, you have to actually navigate back to one of the main things. So like either the custom or to sales, probably custom. Then you can get the settings again. Okay, so let me here. Oh, hang on, I got a cough. Okay. Now, I was playing with this earlier. So we got one notification there that just went away. Where'd it go? Okay, we had a notification, now it's gone. But what I noticed, so we had a notification, and then what I didn't realize until just now is that notification thing. It says notification. There's a drop down over here on the right hand side that you, I guess, actually click to see it. I was clicking on it itself, and it wasn't doing anything earlier because it was so far away from the words, that down arrow, that I didn't see that. So that's something to keep an eye out for. Okay, so anyway, so one of the interesting things about this, I started getting to earlier, this related tab. So in the Interactive Service Hub, what this was another block over here that had a bunch of vertical tabs on it. So that kind of went away. And you'll also notice that we don't have a down arrow next to this. So it appears that the way that you get to the related is you click on the related, and then from there you can actually open up one of the related items. So I guess that's a good thing. I don't really know. I just, again, this is new to me. It's new to everybody. I'm going to have to figure out if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I have no opinion at this point in time because I have no experience to back it up. But what's interesting about it is as you see, it added a tab. Okay, and then here are my opportunities. So let's go look at some navigation. So if I open that up, yeah, there's no way to get back to the previous account if I do the back button. Okay. I was curious if it kept the fourth coffee in my breadcrumb here, or if it just went like it normally what it does right now in any of the interfaces is it just makes it in opportunities. Okay. So one of the things with the business process flow is we now have what was the mobile version of this. So what happens is your business process flow is just shown as a line with circles on it. And then when you click on it, that's when you actually get the list of the things that have to be done. So that's if you're not used to that, that's going to be a little bit of a training issue. Ron asked, am I showing the July update or version 9? Ron, version 9 is the July update. That's the same thing. See, Lewis asked, just to check, are the standard default forms that you see in the custom the same as in the hubs? Yes, they're the same. So supposedly we're not going to have to redo our forms. So maybe I can go into that in a minute if I remember. Let's see. Nathy asks, do you know if it's possible to update the lookup fields such as the from field in emails, the value of a simple text box? I have no clue. Probably I'm not sure workflow would do that. So what you're talking about there is, can you update a lookup from a text field? So probably not, because it's just not the way CRM works. You have to have the ID. Okay. So basically, this is the new interface. Like I said, it's a whole lot cleaner. If you can't really see on the screen, this area is slightly blue, whereas the sections are white, so that it kind of offsets things so you can tell where you are. Here's how you get to the detail for an opportunity. Revenues user provided, our price list. Here's the detail records. And the summary down here at the bottom. That's all about the same. Travis says SDK.rest should help. Yeah, you can always program it to do a lookup from a text field. That works fine. Okay, so let's go look at flows. So we don't have any flows on this. Come on, you can do it. Create a flow. Okay, so do that. Let me go back to my main, whoops, my custom one. Show you a couple other things. Yes, remember, any of the hubs are specific to that category. So again, it's going to be sales or customer service or field service or project service. Okay, so advanced find. Click advanced find. Click on details. Go accounts. Here's the kind of the example that they give you. I'm going to look for activities where I'm the regarding. There is our in, not in. So there is our not in query for things. So what this is saying is select accounts where the activity regarding does not contain data. So that means basically it's not in. So basically, show me things where this doesn't exist is what the deal is. Okay, so this is Jesus, come on, people. I've got to turn the notification off. Sorry. So anyway, so this is kind of when I first did it, I was following the instructions that are on the website, and I'm like, what are they talking about? And then I just happened to look over and I realized, unlike everything else where you actually select a field, so like you say field and then the value, this is actually done at the entity level, and it seems to be only for related entities is what I found, which kind of makes sense. Diane asked, what is the use case for having end users use the web UI versus the hub UI? In all honesty, Diane, because that is the UI we're going to have in the future. So if you start them doing it now, they get used to it, and you don't have to do a ginormous amount of retraining. It's a minor retraining, but it's still retraining, and some people don't react well to change. I think everybody knows that by now. So yeah, so what I would do is just kind of work on it like that. Andre asked if I have any information on the new SDK release. I have no information on the SDK. I've not seen it at all. Let's see. Larry says he saw a remark that not in breaks the many-to-many. That's a good question. I just found this today. I had heard they were putting it in, but I didn't know how it was actually done until I hit the right page that told me how. So that's a good question. Very good question. Okay. So if I go to settings and go to system settings, let's look at previews real quick. So action step support in business process flows, BPF entity customization. That is actually where you can customize the business process flow entity itself. I haven't played with that at all. Organizational insights. I don't understand why this is in a preview because the app is in the app stores or app source. So that's interesting. Cortana's still there. Mail app preview. This is the app for the Outlook. Then we have a couple things that's been there again. Relationship Insights is still in a preview mode, mostly because it relies on an Azure service that is still in preview. So that's why this one, I think our part is done, but the Azure part has not been GA'd yet. So that's what the issue is with that. Oh, Glenn, thank you very much. We now have multiple option sets that are multiple select. So I don't think I have anything that's connected with that. But one of the things that we have actually asked for years and years, and there's a couple of different solutions, is we can now do option sets where we select more than one value. So that's done at just the configuration level of the field itself, which is really cool. And Guido says that Organizational Insights is only available in North America. So that's a good point. So that means it truly is in preview. So that's interesting. So it's in preview, and then let's see, settings. Do I have it? I don't see Organizational Insights, which means I don't have it loaded. So yeah, so what they do with all the previews is they like to kind of control the environment of the release, so they don't cause themselves too many management headaches while they're testing it out. So what they do is they, in most cases, only release previews to North America because they don't want to have to deal with multi-language, multicultural issues. Is what the deal is. That's why they actually do that. It's not because they like us better than everybody else in the world. It's just the fact that they only have so many staff and only have so much time to do testing for stuff like that. Clenathy asked about SDK for Visual Studio 2017. None of the SDK stuff has been released yet. Okay. Lewis asks, how do you get the ALM text analytics? I don't even know how to get to that. He's talking about this preview here. Anything you see here that has the word analytics in there, 99% of the time, that's an Azure service. So it says I can find more information here. Let's see if this actually works. It does work. So yeah, so just click on that link right there, and it will take you to a TechNet page that talks about this stuff. Let's see what to say. Your service manager handling cases will know, blah, blah, blah. So basically what this is doing is looking through the case for, I think, related cases. Cognitive Services Text Analytic Topic Detection API. Wow, somebody was really bored the day they wrote that. Okay. Lewis, if you're not, here, open it up for you again. Just do a TechNet search for public preview topic analysis. Lewis, is how you get to that. That's the easiest thing. Let's see. Matt asks, do you know offhand the features that will not be coming in on-prem solution? I don't know that for sure. Quite honestly, I don't know if they've got an actual page up for that. So what he's talking about is, as you know, they come out with features that are the same in both on-premise and online environments, but some things are only online, and they have a page out there that lists those things. I don't know if it's been updated or not, so that's a good question. Very good question. Let's see. Here's virtual entity data sources. Like I said, what this is you actually configure it to point to an external service. So basically what it does is that you're actually producing an OData query and give it a name, a URL, timeout, how you're going to do paging, what the query string parameters are, and anything else. And what happens is when you load that, when it hits that page, it literally exercises the URL, passes in some query parameters, and then extracts that data and builds out a CRM view. So that's actually pretty cool. Let's see, what else is in here? What else do you guys want to see? I know I've covered a whole bunch of stuff. Muzzy asks, do you have any of the templates on how they work with MS Word? I have an entire webinar on that. So go out to my XRM, youtube.com/XRM coaches. There's a webinar on using templates. Diane asks, the response time for virtual entities. I have no clue. I don't even know of a, you have to basically, like I said, create this query. I don't even know of a data source that I have access to that I can do that with. So I've got to dig around. I haven't even played with it at all. What if the virtual entity is on premises? It doesn't matter where it is. It's a web page. As long as you can access the web page and have security, because it's not going to pass security. So as long as you have access to a web page, you can get to it. Matt asks, can you run advanced find with using virtual entities? That's a good question. I don't know. I was hoping you would be able to, but I don't know for sure. Do you know? Let's see. Do you know why email sent using email template you lose the format when they're sent to email such as Gmail? I have no idea. I've never even heard of that. That sounds like a bug. I would open a case on that. Tom asks, any machine learning features? They don't have anything actually built in for machine learning. They have a few things like the text analytics and a few of the other things, but nothing that I've actually seen is new with that. Fabio asked about the security setting for session timeout. Fabio, I couldn't find that. So what he's talking about is there's a security setting that I read about that will actually time people out. I couldn't find it. I don't know where it is. So if anybody's seen that, let me know. So I thought it would be under, it's not under system settings that I could find. Nothing, I mean, there's nothing here that would make sense to where it would be. And then it's not under security. There's nothing in security that would set that I can see. So yeah, I don't know where that setting is. That's a good question. I didn't push enough buttons to figure out where it was. Okay. Yes, there's some improvements to the email editor. So they just, basically are, take what? They basically just enhanced the email editor. I think they pulled the one from Interactive Service Hub and just made the same editor for all the stuff, which is just an enhanced HTML editor. So that's good. Going back to the flow discussion, basically what you do is you just create, you just have if you don't know what flow is, I did a short webinar last year, I think, about it. So you can create from a blank flow. You can create from a template. Doesn't work. That's pretty cool. But the idea here is you can take data from CRM and push it to other places. You can work within CRM. This is part of the online subscription. On premises, you may have to have a license for, I think. I'm not positive about that. So basically, you connect to CRM or Dynamics 365, and then you basically have a thing. Well, there's record selected. That's interesting. It starts off like that. Okay, about accounts. So basically, you have actions, conditions, and other things. So if I want an action, oops. What you do is you pick the thing that's going to do something. So here's Outlook. You have basically tons and tons and tons of things. So what you're doing is you're basically saying, okay, for instance, we want to send an email whenever a new account is created. So you could do that, for instance. Let's see. Travis asked an off-topic question about support where they're asking him to provide a support pin. No, I've never heard of that. I don't really open that in my cases though, so maybe that's a new thing they just started. That's interesting. Lewis has a link I'll put in the show notes for virtual entities. Oh, it's got a sample data feed too. Oh, that's perfect. Good job. Ryan asked, on workflow enhancements, are we able to query records and then run steps on the results? No, I haven't seen. I don't think they changed workflows at all, quite honestly. That's kind of a North 52 type of thing, if you guys have that product. Hello? Are you working? Way to go, Ryan. You broke my CRM. Thanks, man. Well, that's fascinating. Okay. I guess we won't be looking at that. Let's see. What else we got here? Is there a replacement for dialogues? Matthew asked that. Yeah, so basically what the deal is with that is, oh boy, what's the thing called? Task flows? So the mobile client has this concept of task flow, which is a pretty dialogue. It's what it is, pretty step-by-step dialogue. So there you go, mobile task flow. So so my understanding, again, this is my understanding, I could be wrong, is that I think they're going to migrate us into the task flow arena from dialogues. Now, does it have the same feature set as dialogues? I don't know. That's just a supposition on my part because they've already got that feature. So I'm assuming either it's going to be that or something else. I don't know what it would be. I haven't heard anything specifically. Travis mentions the external toolbox run bulk workflows against a specified queries. That is true. So if you need to run bulk workflows, Ryan, just use the external toolbox plugin for that. This is totally broken. Well, it's going to short circuit things. Any improvements to auditing and reporting? I don't know about the reporting part. If you need reporting, I would get Kingsway Sauce SSIS connector because it will allow you to do queries on the report, the auditing. The auditing is stored in a very, very weird way. Even if you're looking at it from a database, like if you're on premises looking at the raw SQL, it's stored weirdly. You literally have to perform a query via the SDK to pull the data out into any kind of meaningful format. So what Daniel and his team did is to create more or less a fetch XML extension for the audit table that allows you to query and get data back in a manner that makes kind of sense. Now, the note that I saw about auditing is that it was actually they've made it near real time because it was a slight delay because they kind of collected the data and then deposited it into the auditing database. So evidently that's more real time, so it's faster. But I haven't heard anything about that. Rhea, I'm asking to do I get to play with portals. Any parameter features that got embedded. I have heard nothing about the portals recently besides the fact that they released the open source version, and that's it. I think they did make some changes to portals, but I haven't seen the list of what they changed at all. Okay, any other questions? So I think our system is trialing itself out, so we may be done with the demo here, but we can always talk. That's it. Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody coming today, and I'll send out a link to the recording as soon as it gets up, or if you, like I said, if you've already subscribed, then we can do it. Okay. Well, thanks everybody. We'll talk to you later.